machine learning the beauty or the beast, and above all, from a legal point of view, I'm aware that AI and ML have been with some advancement in terms of regulation, but when it comes to be combined with cybersecurity, is it the same or not yet?
Yeah, so I would start with your metaphor again and say it's probably rather the beauty, because if cyber attacks are more and more based on AI, then it probably makes also sense to think about their detection and countermeasures that are based on AI. Of course, these measures have to stick to the new regulatory framework. So on a case-by-case basis, we will then have to consider, is this a high-risk application? And if this is a high-risk application, a number of procedural requirements will be enforced, as for example, having a risk management system, having a fundamental rights impact assessment, and a number of other issues. But this is probably something that is feasible, and where also in a couple of years this will be somehow routine, as it is also for, let's say, for data protection impact assessment, for example. So therefore, I think this is feasible. And but I also agree that it must not be always AI, so if there are other options, why not consider them? So therefore, this probably also makes perfectly sense.
Thank you. I would ask the same question to you, Emrah, to have your perspective about the integration from Nokia point of view.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, there is indeed both the beauty and beast phases of AI, but then I'm also, like Hartmut, maybe favoring the beauty part a bit, because, yeah, of course, I mean, we should be taking care of the threats, vulnerabilities, like any other technology, as we have been doing in security area. And then there has been quite some research on adversarial machine learning and countermeasures, how to take care of these attacks, model poisoning, model extraction, whatever. So I think we are doing good on this, and we should, of course, continue. But then machine learning and AI is also providing us with some capabilities that we didn't have before in security. For instance, I mean, so we were maybe a bit reactive in the sense that we would be able to detect the attacks once they happen, but then with machine learning, with some prediction techniques, or even using digital twins, we could be proactively predicting the attacks so that we could be taking care of them on time, and even actually we could be responding in an automated way. And also machine learning AI with automation would provide us with more runtime type of defense. I mean, in security we have this design time defenses like, I mean, threat analysis, risk assessment, threat intelligence, I don't know, formal verification. So we want to make sure that our system is secure before we deploy it. But then once it is deployed, once it is operational, I mean, things change and it becomes unsecure again. And also, I mean, in the case of 6G, yeah, it's a very big system, very heterogeneous system. So therefore, having automation and orchestration and security management, I think would be really useful. So we should be also focusing also how to use AI for security.
Thank you very much. And I would conclude with Przemysław on this question, your perspective.
Okay, so I will say beauty and the beast. On the beauty side, if we want to offer to the customer a scalable solution that will scale up to huge amounts, AI is the only engine that can power it, that can fuel it. Okay, so AI is significantly enabling us to secure massive scale of our customers. But I will mention also on the beast side, I can imagine that what we are handling right now also is that on the attacker side, the battle between us and attackers is uneven, because on the attacker side, there is no ethics, there is no compliance. So they can, for example, jailbreak an LLM and use it. Whereas on our side, in our SOC, when you're wearing a white or blue hat, you have to follow the rules, right? It's not everywhere feasible to wear the red hat to break the rules in order to prevent the attack. So we are learning, we are on the path to become a defender at the same level of, let's say, using the power of AI. We have to learn. So we are on the path.
Okay, thank you very much. I would conclude this first part of the panel before to start interacting with the audience by giving you again the floor and conclude with some sentence after the panel happened. So you started with your vision. We prepared and we were used to know to each other with Hartmut. We are also working together in a common project. But which is your perspective after the discussion with the other point of view, with the other perspective from not only academic, not only business, not only from an operator point of view? So if you want to conclude with one sentence, which would be? I start with you, Marija.
Well, it's not easy to conclude with one smart sentence, but my overall impression is a feeling of great excitement for what 6G is bringing in terms of security, and seeing how the different technologies that are very advanced are now coming together into carrier-grade networks.
Thank you. Emrah?
Yeah, thanks, Valeria. Indeed, I mean, it's difficult to make it one sentence, but maybe as I started, so we have already made it halfway, and then let's make it success altogether to the end.
I think that our debate has demonstrated again that interdisciplinary perspectives are very crucial for technology development, so therefore this is probably something to build up.
To me, we have the same challenges as the pure IT guys, but we have the 5 nines reliability, or even 6 nines, or even 9 nines when it's ultra reliant. So we have a big challenge, but we want to cope with it.
Thank you very much. So I would now push on interaction with the audience and a question from you. Take the opportunity, we have these different voices, interesting perspective. Take the opportunity to ask them a question.
Thank you. Hanna Bogucka from Poznań University of Technology and Remeda Labs. I believe that you all touched upon this very important challenge that is in front of the designers of 6G systems. And the challenge is that the threats, the security threats, can come from different domains. As you mentioned, it could be from an attack on AI algorithm and on data poisoning, or in any case to attack the algorithm, the AI or ML algorithm in itself. This is one domain. Another one is the omnipresence of the radio medium, so that the attacks can come from anywhere, over the air interface. And the third domain, which is kind of standard for IT engineers, for computer science engineers, is the attacks on the software, since the networks are currently virtualized, and a lot of network functions are defined by software. So my question is on your vision, how you see the roadmap to treat all these domains jointly? Since, as a simple example, could be that the attack comes from the radio interface, attacks the data that is the input to the AI algorithm, and that would jeopardize the whole network operation. How you see how the roadmap for the coordination of these aspects could be in Europe or in your companies?
Thank you for the question. A very, very good and complicated question, I would say. So I let who wants to? Yeah, please.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the situation is complicated, and it's not easy to answer this question. But I think we also have some, how to say, tool sets. Like, for instance, there is this threat modeling frameworks like Mitra Attack or Mitra Atlas, which would be, I mean, these matrices, and then you can track, hopefully, where the attack starts and then where it proceeds. So, again, as I was saying, from a design time defense perspective, you could try to plan your system to be robust against these complicated attacks. This is one thing that could be done, but the other thing is, of course, again, as I was trying to say, we should be making best use of automation, machine learning, AI, and then making predictions, because manual handling of such complicated attacks would be really not possible, I would say. So therefore, we should be making the use of technology as much as the attackers are doing.
Thank you, Emrah. Somebody else?
Yeah, I think that in the overarching aspect of all the different attack vectors that you were mentioning is risk, and I think what is crucial as methodology for this kind of technology development, to have a good risk assessment at an early stage, even if that cannot be perfect, because the problem with risk assessment is that sometimes there are risks that nobody was aware of earlier. But I think to have a risk assessment and risk management system in place, this is really important, and probably also another example showing why some kind of regulation is important, because sometimes the tech guys might not be aware of the importance and the relevance of risk management.
Marija?
I think it's also important to accept that we cannot have 100% security of everything. I recently saw some very nice report that says that security is not a Boolean state, it's a continuum. And it's important that whether it's an operator or a vendor, that they specify their priorities and accept some trade-offs. In our work with physical layer security, we are never able to achieve 100% accuracy of machine learning models. And then it requires some extra scrutiny on the output of machine learning models. For example, looking at the sort of a window and putting thresholds on how many samples need to be deemed as an attacker to actually raise an alarm. And we realized when we did this exercise that it's actually, even though the accuracy of machine learning is very high, simply computationally speaking, when you put it in a real network deployment where, for example, you get an analysis every 1 minute, it actually generates a large number of false alarms. So then it's on the operator to set priorities, whether they will accept some model that has maybe, lower number of false positives, but at the expense of higher number of false negatives, or things like that.
You want to add something?
No, I agree with Marija. I will not add anything else, but my personal experience that only a separate wire is a safe way to separate data.
And if I may add something, I also agree with all of you, with Marija. And one important aspect is that we cannot pretend to securize everything everywhere, always. Technology is in a continued evolution. The point is to making sure that we can localize the attack, and we can reduce the impact, isolate. Above all, when this comes with the system, with a very critical system, we should be able, so it should be not limited to I'm able to detect an attack. Tomorrow there will be a more advanced, I'm not able with the same tools probably to detect it in a very effective way. But if I can detect and localize it and isolate the system, so we should, and this is really important to do in the 6G infrastructure, so the system should be by design, I know that we abuse maybe of this term, but it should be built in a way that we can be capable to do that. Above all, because we have an evolved network with the massive presence of IoT devices and we have heterogeneous devices that are implementing also old version of firmware. So if some patch is resolving a problem, we still in the real life, we have still the problem because not all the user will make the update of the firmware, etc. So their devices are vulnerable in the whole system, is network. So I believe that we should think about cybersecurity in a more global, with a more global perspective. So there is detection, there is attack, but there is also what we do when we detect an attack and how we cope with by protecting the system. So this is what I think. Any other question? Maybe I can. Okay.
Thank you very much. This is Mason Laday from University of Essex, UK. I'm just following up on your answers to the question that raised by the colleague from Poznan. What I noticed is that your answers did not touch at all about stakeholders cross-intelligence sharing. So a big critical point, particularly we're observing in Europe, is that we have quite a large number of stakeholders involved. You have the edge, the cloud, the operator, the network operator, I mean, the service provider. These are just the essentials. Where are your thoughts about multi-stakeholder engagement and cross-intelligence sharing? Do you not see that in the cards, or where does it fit in your opinion?
I will share the view from within Orange Group, which is multinational. So I will be skeptical. Why? Inside our group, it's hard to create a single CTI, Cybersecurity Threat Intelligence hub, because the threats are, first, geographically, regionally linked. Second, it's very time sensitive. And the mechanism is synced with the data description. So it's very hard to do it within a single organization. I believe it could be very difficult for multi-stakeholder. But I get your point. I believe this is a challenge.
Yeah, I agree that it's probably a challenge, but on the other side, I also agree to you, because we also have to think about the 9/11 effect. So it's a problem if many stakeholders know a bit about a risk and nobody really has an overview. So this is again a question of coordination that is necessary, and probably this is also in a way part of risk management, to have this kind of coordination in order to have tools to understand the extent of a risk and not just look at the nitty-gritty part in the own authority. So that's probably also something that is important also from my perspective.
Somebody else want to? No, it is actually a very important and critical aspect. I didn't mention directly stakeholder, but what I mentioned is the high heterogeneity of networked system with devices that are more vulnerable, that we cannot protect with the general approach in terms of security. And for sure, what you are mentioning is completely relevant. And I believe that it is for that we need to understand, I mean, we know that in the past there were attacks that also the same attacker, I'm thinking about the famous Mirai botnet, so the guys were not expecting this huge impact. And it is for that I believe we need to learn about what happened in the past. We need to be aware about the fact that we have we have geographical location, different devices, different people that use devices at different age. So this is something that if you ask me how, I could not answer how now in this moment. But I believe that it is important that we can reasoning about this concept together with the different perspectives. This is paramount, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the necessity and the awareness, the necessity for awareness that we're looking at. But yeah, good to know that, yeah, it's not completely out of the cards. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think there was another one on that side.
Yep.
Hi, thank you. I'm Laurie Ibbs from PSCE. My question, I think we've actually started to dance around this subject a little bit here. Our good moderator has noted the fact that we need good discipline in cybersecurity. And typically, good discipline is given to us by frameworks with which to work, say ISO 27000 series, or say NIST 837 series controls that we can apply in cybersecurity. So I wanted to ask the panel, in terms of standardization of governance, what does the panel think about having standardization in cybersecurity governance within 6G networks?
Thank you for the question.
Yeah, I mean, this is an important topic, of course, in 5G. I mean, I don't know if we can, because in IT we have these well-defined governance frameworks for IT networks, but then for mobile networks, maybe we have a bit more certification or security assurance like GSMA, NESAS, or SCAS. So we could be, of course, we should be improving them, continuing with them. But also, I think, with the new futures, new challenges in 6G networks, we should be also automating the security assurance. So it shouldn't be, I mean, only adhering with frameworks, but also because it would be a totally dynamical thing. So therefore, yes, having good frameworks, good governance frameworks would be helping as usual. But then, as I was trying to say, I mean, using the runtime defense and also trying to also make automated continuous compliance verification and automated audits would also be needed, in my opinion. This is my take.
Somebody else want to add?
Well, telco is believing strongly in platformization, lastly, right? So this is somehow showing the trend that standards matter. For example, for camera API approach for exposition of the telco assets. But on the cybersecurity side, I believe that this will happen through practice rather than documents. With, as I said previously, cybersecurity as a service products that will generate some kind of industrial standard.
It's an interesting perspective. The Salt Typhoon attack on the Treasury Department in the US, their response was to send the companies involved on the 60-day NSA-accredited cybersecurity framework. Because Anne Neuberger was quoted as saying that cybersecurity frameworks that don't have teeth are meaningless in the face of Russian and Chinese aggression. So how do we fix that if it's purely voluntary?
I will repeat, we're on the path because, yeah, I agree, the battle is uneven. Not sure if making top-to-down standard will speed up. I believe rather for the bottom-up direction. So whatever works, let's scale it up.
We have a gap, I think we're agreeing. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe we still have time for one question.
So Luis Correa, IST, University of Lisbon. As a bit of a follow-up of previous questions, let me put it this way. When email was designed, no one thought about spam, right? So email was not designed to be against spam, and we know the consequences. So if we identify some of the things that we imagine or we know may happen, what could or should be in the design of 6G to prevent them or to minimize the risks of them occurring? It's a general question, but I think you understand where I'm aiming at, right? What are the items we can think of and a priori prevent them to occur in the system, at least up to a certain point? Like, for example, in email, if we would require the receiver to acknowledge before the email is reaching him or her, spam would not be there because we would delete a lot of those. Of course, the consequences would be that the system will be cumbersome because, of course, we have to acknowledge a lot of stuff, right? So there's a balance here, obviously. But in general terms, is there anything we can do about this?
Very good question. So
Yeah, interesting debate. I think that probably the world has changed since the times when email was introduced, because now it's probably clearer everywhere that risks are there all the time, and that it's not a good strategy to start with a new technology just saying that we hope that nothing happens. So therefore this risk assessment is at a very early stage. But then of course the tricky thing remains how seriously we then take the different possibilities of risk. That's then the more interesting question, because then there is still some kind of discretion in it, how likely we find it, and probably this is still something where professional standards are still to be increased.
Yeah, maybe I may add up. I mean, of course, as we were discussing, I'm also doubtful that there would be 100% security, in the sense that even if you do risk management, there is this, phenomenon of unknown unknowns, right? So we are dealing with known unknowns, but yeah, we cannot know unknown unknowns. But still, with maybe again making use of technology, with generative AI or with other things, we could be trying to also come up with unthinkable attacks that we could try to include in our security design. So we could be making use of generative AI, LLMs, and then digital twins, as I was saying. That could help to some extent, but still I'm sure we would be needing to also do some add-ups later on.
So once again, I believe that since email has been introduced, the technology evolved a lot. And today we are here to discuss about 6G, and 5G was really a revolution, is really a new infrastructure, a new technology, a new mindset in some way. And 6G will be in this direction as well. And what I see is a huge complexity that has to be managed at a global level in the worldwide way. And once again, I believe that 100% of security is not possible. What we need to do is to build a system that is strong by design, that is robust by design, by also adding some redundancy in the system, when an attack it can be with a certain effort, a certain impact that we cannot imagine, because we have this IoT Edge Cloud Continuum that is now considered as a reference. And this means that we have from very basic or less basic devices that communicate till the cloud. So basically, we cannot figure out everything, but let's try to integrate as much as reliability to keep the connectivity that we started to discuss at the beginning of this panel in 6G. So I believe this is the best thing we can try to do. And I believe that we are incredibly in time, so this conclude our panel. I want to really heartfully thank the panelists for having been here and really proactive in every stage of the preparation of this panel, and thanks Luis for this great opportunity to discuss about this topic today at EuCNC. Thanks the organizer of the conference. So thanks a lot.